I used to go to Raging Waters as a kid all the time. Love that water park, love that relief from the heat, and it's going to be still hot out here.
It will be.
Yeah.
This is it's like duration. That's really the takeaway on this particular heat wave. It's not like we're smashing records for daytime highs.
But you feel it.
You definitely feel it. And you feel it for 9 days in a row.
Wow.
That's the real challenge on this heat wave. So the first thing I'll do, you kind of see the numbers we're surrounded by here. I mean, it's really the numbers back there, which are going to get better. We're looking at morning lows right now. And this is just as an important part of the story, because if you're in this for 9 days, and the coolest you're getting is low 60s, look at Antioch is only going to go down to 70 degrees. For the morning low tomorrow. So you don't get enough of a break. And then on top of that, of course, if we remove what the actual lows will be tomorrow, just to show you what the daytime highs are going to be, tomorrow actually warms up a bit from where we were today.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so the first thing.
Brace ourselves.
Brace yourself is the best way to put this, and just to know we're in this for the long haul. So first thing we'll do before we start calling out individual numbers on the map, let me show you what the excessive heat warning looks like, who's in it, and how long it's going for. Because it's going until Wednesday. That's next Wednesday, and it doesn't expire until 11 o'clock at night on Wednesday. So the excessive heat warning's got everybody included in it, with the exception of the immediate Bay Shore. There's the city, the peninsula, and the East Bay Shore not included in this, but of course you've got a heat advisory, and that's also staying in effect until we get to next Wednesday at 11. It's entirely possible by the forecast that the National Weather Service might even have to extend these a little longer, because it's really not till next Saturday, a week from this coming Saturday, that we finally see the staying power of this intense center of heat over us really begin to break. But it is going to get better by Sunday. The numbers will come down on Sunday, but we're still going to be way above average even when they do go down on Sunday. We're going to look at all the numbers in 1 second. The only other housekeeping item I've got on here is the red flag warning. That's staying in effect until Saturday night. Santa Cruz Mountains included in that, East Bay Hills, North Bay Mountains. Everybody's got to be incredibly cautious right now on the landscape through that window and really for the rest of summer. But red flag warnings do add a separate layer of urgency on that, and that really just has to do with how dry the air is right now and the intensity of the heat. It's not like we have terribly strong offshore winds right now. We don't. But it's so hot, and that pulls so much moisture out of the landscape. That's really the driving concern there. Speaking of pulling moisture out of the landscape, it's going to do that to you too. So when we look at the heat risk map, this is the map that's color-coded for where you've got the higher degree of risk. And when you take a look across most of the bay, look at that big purple splotch for the inland valleys of the East Bay, where some of the more intense issues are. And everybody's got to be real mindful of this, but the inland East Bay in particular needs to be especially vigilant over the next 9 days. You'll see that when we get to the 7-day forecast as well. We're going to get a little bit of help tomorrow in terms of the marine layer coming in for the city. This is also a subtle factor for the fireworks tonight. We looked at that at the top of the newscast. But in terms of what influenced that onshore, the return of the marine layer's got to make people feel really good right now. But it's not really going to be able to get over the East Bay Hills. I mean, look where the marine layer stops. It stops just as it gets over towards that barrier. So not only are the clouds not getting over there, but the cool air's not getting over there. Let's go back to the virtual map. So if we're going to get the help of the marine layer starting to stream back in, as it will, through parts of the bay here, it's only coming in about this far and then stopping once it gets here. If it's not getting inland, we'll put tomorrow's daytime highs on there, and you can see the huge spread in numbers. You're still going to be in the 70s tomorrow for San Francisco. But you're going to have your numbers climbing well up into the low hundreds tomorrow. So let's get our numbers on here for our highs, and we're going to take a look at the numbers for Concord, for Antioch, for Livermore. Those numbers are going up a little bit from where you were today. You were in the low hundreds today, like 102, 103 over there. Tomorrow you're maybe 3, 4, or a little more than that, degrees higher for today. Good news for San Jose. You don't have to go to triple digits, but you're still a solid 12 degrees above average for where you should be this time of year. And North Bay Valleys, you got quite the break today. Santa Rosa, last look, I'm still waiting for the official numbers, but last look on today, Santa Rosa did not break the century mark. I mean, you were down into the low and mid 90s. Look at the gap in the hills out here. Just up above Point Reyes, there is a gap in the Coast Range, and the cool air was able to filter through that low spot right there and get into that part of Sonoma County and do a big favor. It was still hot there. You're still in the low to mid 90s, but it could have been a lot hotter. So you do, all these subtle little microclimates start to come into play on a day like this. Let's get into the 7-day forecast and break this down as best we can. So by Sunday, we've got you down to the mid-90s, but then you're going to stay there going all the way into early next week. So these numbers are now riding on the line where maybe they can let the excessive heat warning expire by the time we get to Tuesday. But there's really more meaningful relief once we get towards next Saturday. So there is a better forecast at the end of the 7-day. But really through the remainder of this 7-day, even though there is improvement and the temperatures will come down, you've still got to consider much of next week well above average and still heed that messaging that's put out when we have an excessive heat warning, which is to make sure you're going easy on yourself outside. I'll be back with more coming in the next half hour. For now, guys, back to you.